The world of tournament poker is once again embroiled in a heated debate, this time over something that has long been a staple of the live poker experience, which are headphones. Matt Savage, one of the most prominent figures in tournament poker, recently confirmed that banning headphones at all tables will be a formal topic of discussion at the upcoming TDA Summit. The announcement has drawn swift and largely negative reactions from players across the poker community, reigniting a long-simmering argument about personal freedom, game integrity, and the future of the live poker environment. The TDA Summit is a gathering of poker room representatives and tournament directors from all around the world who convene to discuss the most pressing issues facing the game and to propose or amend the standardized rules that govern tournament poker globally. The upcoming June 2026 summit promises to be one of the most consequential in recent memory, with a wide-ranging agenda which includes clarifying rules around cell phones at the table, the use of meta smart glasses, the leaving one chip behind strategy, and even the question on whether players can keep dogs at the table. The headphone debate, however, has emerged as perhaps the most emotionally charged item on that list. Matt Savage's announcement came via his X account, where he stated plainly, banning headphones will be a topic at the upcoming Poker TDA Summit on June 29th at PokerGo. The bluntness of this statement and the institutional weight behind it immediately set social media ablaze, with players and fans weighing in forcefully and predominantly against the idea. Those in favor of banning headphones at the poker table typically rest their argument on a combination of game integrity concerns, pace of play issues, and social atmosphere. On the integrity side, the rapid evolution of wearable technology has made it harder to guarantee that a player wearing headphones is simply listening to music rather than receiving real-time strategic assistance through a concealed audio device. And detractors of headphones argue that the technology to transmit such assistance audibly is entirely within reach, making headphones a potential conduit for cheating. The pace of play argument is more mundane but not less legitimate in the eyes of critics. Players who cannot hear the action around them frequently miss their turn, force dealers to repeatedly call their attention, and slow down a table that is already moving through hands at a carefully managed tempo. In a tournament environment where time is precious and blind levels dictate urgency, these delays compound quickly. Despite these arguments, the poker community's reaction has been overwhelmingly negative, and it's not hard to understand why. Headphones have been a fixture of the live poker scene for decades, particularly since the poker boom of the early 2000s. For many, putting on a pair of headphones is a ritual of focus and comfort, a way to block out the often loud, chaotic, and distracting floor environment and settle into a state of deep concentration. Removing that option would fundamentally alter the experience for a significant portion of the player pool. One of the most frequently cited concerns is the chilling effect a headphone ban would have on recreational and amateur players. Daniel Negreanu has long argued that allowing players to use headphones actually encourages participation from less experienced players who feel intimidated by the social dynamics of a live table. There is also a strong civil liberties adjacent argument, which is players are paying sometimes thousands of dollars to enter a tournament, and telling them they cannot listen to their own music while waiting for cards in a loud environment feels paternalistic and unnecessarily restrictive. Poker pro Alex Bolleton articulated a nuanced middle ground position on X, suggesting that if headphones are genuinely a threat to game integrity, a ban may be warranted, but only if the rules around excessive table chatter are simultaneously enforced more strictly, ensuring that players who prefer silence are not simply replaced by a different kind of disruption. The headphone debate does not exist in vacuum. It is the latest chapter in a year-long push by tournament directors and the WSOP to tighten the regulatory environment around live poker. Much of this drive has been fueled by high-profile controversies of cheating and the use of electronic assistance. The most notable flashpoint was the 2024 WSOP main event, where eventual champion Jonathan Tamayo was supposed supported at the final table by a group of pros who were observed using a laptop on the rail, with Tamayo openly conferring with them between hands. While Tamayo's action did not technically violate the rules at that time, the incident was widely perceived as a bad look for poker and triggered a wave of rule change. In response, the WSOP introduced sweeping new regulations for its Paradise Festival and beyond, banning all electronic devices, both at the table and on the rail, when any WSOP event reaches its final 3 tables. Even those sympathetic to the spirit of a headphone ban often concede that enforcement would be a practical nightmare. The WSOP already struggles to consistently enforce its existing rules across dozens of simultaneous tables in a massive tournament room. Adding a headphone prohibition would require floor staff to monitor every player's ears throughout every level of every event, a task that is logistically daunting and likely to generate its own share of disputes and inconsistencies. Critics point out that there is an enormous difference between simple wired earphones plugged into a phone playing Spotify and a sophisticated concealed earpiece receiving transmitted strategic advice, and treating them identically under the law would be a blunt instrument solution to a nuanced problem. A more targeted approach should be one that bans AirPods and wireless earbuds while permitting over-the-ear wired headphones, or that subjects suspicious devices to inspection by floor staff, which might address the integrity concerns without alienating the broader player base. However, drawing and enforcing those distinctions at a scale presents its own complications, and any ambiguity in the rules tends to create more problems than it solves in a live tournament setting. The June 29 TDA Summit will be the forum where these arguments are formally debated and potentially where a decision is made. The TDA does not unilaterally control the WSOP's rule. The WSOP sets its own regulation, but TDA guidelines carry enormous influence across the global poker ecosystem, and a recommendation from the summit would likely shape policy across hundreds of tournament series worldwide. Given the strength of the negative reaction from the poker community, it is far from certain that a ban will actually be implemented. What is certain is that the debate reflects a poker industry at a crossroads, one wrestling with how to modernize its integrity framework without fundamentally altering the atmosphere and accessibility that have made live tournament poker one of the most compelling competitive pursuits in the world. Whether headphones survive the June summit intact, or whether they become the next casualty of an increasingly regulated game, will say a great deal about what kind of sport poker wants to be in the years ahead.